First question, how would you describe GitLab's personality?
Pragmatic, straightforward, supportive, honest, interesting.
Just one follow-up on that. What makes our personality interesting?
I think we have an unfair advantage in that we're transparent. So we can say things that other people also know, but because we can say them because we're transparent, compared to everybody else who shares things publicly or in a wider for a wider audience, we see more, we have more interesting stuff to share. It's not because we do more interesting stuff or we're somehow smarter or something like that. It's not none of that. It's although I think we're a really talented bunch, because we're can be transparent about it. We have more interesting things to say and publish.
Okay, great. Thanks for clarifying. Okay, first 5 words, or just any 5 words that come to mind when you think of GitLab.
Everyone can contribute, and manager of one, which is 6 words, and it's not separate words, but hey.
Fair enough. If you could choose a celebrity, why George Lucas?
I might have a locality bias. There's the George Lucas offices are nearby, and there's a Yoda statue in the Presidio, which is nice to visit. But I think George Lucas was an innovator, and he created this whole these new universes where still after all this time I'm still watching like The Mandalorian and things like that. So I think that's a big inspiration. I also think compared to some other celebrities, maybe he's kept up great work and did a lot. I don't know. I've had a rich and not super controversial life outside of celebrityness. So respect for that. Celebrity must be a pretty crazy ride. So kudos to anyone who hangs on and does well.
Yeah. When you say, so the next question about content that has resonated best with our audience, and I see you have buyer versus user content. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, I think we have 2 very distinct group of people we are messaging to. We have potential buyers of the product, C-level execs, who the kind of the primary medium we should probably use is LinkedIn. And what they care about is having more visibility into kind of the R&D department and making faster progress and having a faster cycle time and delivering more value faster. And then we have our users, individual contributors who want a better web IDE, who want faster CI tests, better code suggestions, things like that. And I think we should really, for every piece of content we make, we shouldn't aim in between them, because I think we miss both. And then for the user marketing, I think we've sometimes missed the mark, because that was the second part of your question. We've missed the mark in having pretty bland content, which is not interesting, which doesn't help, which doesn't like trend on Hacker News. Now, Reddit's also fine, etc. But I think the Hacker News homepage is a good criteria of like what content resonates, and yes, should have something interesting to say. People should learn something from it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry, I was just deciding if I was going to ask another follow-up. Okay, let's move on. Some of the most compelling features of GitLab.
think the most compelling feature of GitLab is having development, security, and operations in one interface, in one data store, in one application. And it allows you to kind of complete the whole value cycle. And what that helps you do as a company is have a faster cycle time, go faster between, hey, these are our priorities for the quarter, and this is what I've released. And be better able to analyze, like, here's where we're blocked, be better able to hand it over, be better able to make sure every application and every change is compliant and secure every time. I think that's the compelling thing about GitLab. Not that we are sometimes better than the point solutions, but the most compelling thing is that you have the whole cycle in one application.
Okay, and I also see that you have value stream analysis and service desk included here.
Yeah, so because you have the whole value stream in one application, you can give an analysis like, okay, this is how long it takes, and this is where you're getting stuck. And getting stuck mostly isn't about like, oh, we don't write code fast enough. It's like, well, our things are too long stuck into review, or the security department takes too long to get back to us, or production, the handover to production isn't seamless enough, or it takes too long from support to get the feedback back to the developers who wrote it in the first place. So that's where the biggest gains are for most organizations, and that's what we can really facilitate. So value stream analysis is an example, and for example, service desk, like getting feedback from users and making that an integral part of the software development process, something I'm really excited about.
Okay. All right, and let's talk about, tell us what you think makes GitLab special.
I think our mission, everyone can contribute, being able to make contributions to both our product and our company is really special. When I told Ellie, who's running the GitLab Foundation, to update the purpose of the company, she said, oh, who do I contact for that? Well, no, anyone can make a suggestion to update that, even if you don't work at GitLab. Anyone on the internet can do it. And then I think our top three values come to mind. Results, as in we value output and we won't look at the input. We value iteration. We try to reduce scope and get it out quickly so we can get feedback. And transparency. By default, we work publicly. I think those are make us really, really special.
Okay, great. Helpful to hear it from you. What do you love most about working at GitLab? So you said people.
The people I work with every day, they're without fail, they're very talented, and it's very focused on the job at hand. There's low politics. There's low. I don't feel like I'm almost never wasting my time. Like it's we get a lot done. That's really great.
Okay, a few questions about our customer. I know this can be broad. There's a lot of ways to answer this, but you said the pragmatic CTO describes our ideal customer. Anything else you would say about that pragmatic CTO?
There's a lot of customers, all the way from an individual developer to the CEO of a really big company. So we value all of them. But if I think about what's really, I get really excited when we meet a CTO who says, look, I've had all these best in class tools and they're all great in what they do, but the hardest thing is to get the whole company aligned and to get the whole R&D department aligned and to go quicker in between having a plan for something and getting it in front of our users and customers. That's where we get really excited.
Okay, the way our audience speaks. So you said they are curious. That's the primary trait. Can you tell us more? Anything else you would add to that?
We have something at GitLab called reenactment of questions. So instead of I know you can read my answer, but feel free to just ask the question and I will just state my answer. I think it's much easier for the people on YouTube to follow, and it's also it also tends to get better answers. So
Well, I wasn't sure how to do it, actually. I didn't know what you would prefer. I actually was wondering if I read the question again, if you would say, well, you can see my answer that I've already written. So I was sort of purposely trying to reframe the question. So thanks for your feedback on that. I am very happy to just read the questions and have you verbalize the answer.
I'm sorry if I ever did that, but we try to avoid it. Like, it's already in the handbook or something like that. That's what we try to avoid. It's great that it's already in the handbook and like maybe politely point it out, but never make somebody feel bad for something that's already asking about something that's already written down.
Yeah, and to be fair, you've never made me feel bad, and actually nobody at GitLab has. I think that 7 months in, I'm still learning the GitLab way, and so sometimes navigating it, I'm just not sure. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
learn by doing, right? And listening and remembering. So thanks for that. Okay, so let me start over with this question at least. How would you just how would you describe how our audience speaks?
Well, hopefully we got a broad audience and they're all different. And maybe I'm projecting a bit, but I like to think that our audience is curious, curious about the world around them. I think in general, if you're anywhere close to software development, you almost have to be curious to keep up with the latest and greatest. And people typically work in the R&D, the research and development department of a company. So I think they tend to be curious people who a lot of learning happens during your career. It's not like you go somewhere, you learn, and then for 20 years you execute on that. It's continual learning. And how our audience speaks, I think the trend has been more and more casual over time. And I think we should aim to have a sense of humor. Software development is dry enough as it is. I'm sorry for not making any jokes yet this meeting, but I'm okay with. I'm known for making really bad jokes myself. In my bad jokes, not bad jokes, just not very funny ones, not necessarily bad. And I think we should have a lower bar for attempts at humor, as long as it's respectful. I think we should do more of it.
Okay, well, we're only halfway through, so there's still plenty of opportunity for.
I'll try. Thank you.
What words or phrases have you heard others, and you speak to so many different folks, customers, our audience, others in the GitLab community, use to describe us?
Yeah, many things, all the way from superpower to one-stop shop. The enterprise version of GitHub, as in GitLab, is much more focused on more complex organizations. I think we should be very proud. We created a category. We created the DevOps platform category. And those are things that come to mind.
Oh. Okay. Moving on to the next section. What would you say differentiates GitLab from other brands?
I harp back too much to what makes GitLab special. Everyone can contribute, results, iteration, and transparency. I think those are the things that come to mind.
I'd love to ask a follow-up. What differentiates GitLab from GitHub? If somebody asks you that, a CTO asks you that, how do you answer that question?
And then from a product perspective, like where's the value for me, or from a company, like why would I work there, or in the public image?
Start with product perspective.
Product perspective. I think we have a more comprehensive product, so you can replace more point solutions. If you Google GitLab competition, you'll find exactly where all the differences are, and we allow you to replace more point solutions. And the more point solutions you replace, the more value you're going to get. the more you are able to consolidate into a single interface, the faster your cycle time, the better you'll be able to assess your value stream and everything else.
If somebody asked you what differentiates GitLab from GitHub from a sort of company culture perspective, would your answer be any different than the answer you gave for why GitLab is special? And if so, I'd love to hear it. If not, we could move on.
Yeah, it's the same answer. Thanks.
How can we set ourselves apart from our competitors in terms of the way that we express ourselves so that we stand out as uniquely GitLab?
By using our those 4 things, I think everyone can contribute is something unique, and I think we can do a much better job highlighting contributors. For example, we have the Leading Organizations initiative where we say, hey, we have a handful of organizations which is growing that are contributing a significant amount of code to GitLab quarter after quarter after quarter. None of those are on our homepage. Like, those are organizations are both like using GitLab and achieving extraordinary results and contributing to make GitLab better for everyone else. Those organizations, and especially those people, those champions in those organizations, those should be the people we're celebrating. I go to our homepage, I see 0 faces. The world's all about people. I can't believe we're not highlighting those people at the leading organizations. Those should be the people who are celebrated. They are the people who are contributing, the people who are getting results for themselves and for everyone else using GitLab. And we're here to facilitate that.
Okay. I just thought of an impromptu question I'd like to ask, but I'll finish these first. If we have time, I'll ask it. Which of our competitors, peers, or others in the space do you think are good or best at telling their story?
If you look at software marketing, Salesforce always comes to mind. What I love about them is that they celebrate their users, kind of with their Trailhead and everything else. They made Salesforce kind of a career choice. And I think that's really impressive. Now, it's a bit hard because Salesforce is a much larger company. So if I think about a smaller company which created a category and which really became the career choice of users, I think of Gainsight. If you look at customer success, people almost identify with Gainsight to a degree which I think is unheard of. So I think that's a really special achievement, and I think that we should be that for CTOs who run an R&D organization.
Okay. And then any other brands that you admire? They don't have to be tech brands or brands in our space, just brands that you admire or enjoy using.
There's tons of brands I admire, enjoy using. I don't know. I start with, what do I wear? I wear Nike sweatpants. I wear Patagonia jackets. I drink a Celsius caffeinated drink without carbonation. I enjoy using Apple product, and I think they're more usable and more privacy conscious. Those are a few things that come to mind.
Okay. And are there any sort of common threads underlying sort of the brands that you mentioned, Nike, Patagonia, is it the, quality or customer service or anything in particular?
Well, it's a bit, I'm not sure I'm being helpful here, but they pick a few things and then they consistently message on that. I think Nike was not afraid to pick sides and have people burn their products. They had an opinion, and I think Apple has been consistent on privacy for a very, very long time, to the point that they're now going to encrypt backups, which I'm sure is not going to do them any favors with the government, but they're going there.
Yeah.
So they're consistently operating from what they picked, and I think Nike celebrates athletes. I think we should celebrate people who contribute in making software development better for everybody else.
Okay, thank you. Since we have a couple minutes, I'd love to ask one bonus question that isn't on this sheet, which is, when you think about all of the materials that we create or present for GitLab, whether that be the website, it doesn't just have to be marketing materials. I tend to think marketing first because that's what I do, but I think about the website, the blog, other materials. Where do you think that we are doing the best job at expressing and presenting who we really are as a brand? Where are we doing it best, from you, in your opinion? Handbook.
Okay, I can't get over where our homepage and the two things that I'm missing there. So I'll start talking about that.
Yeah.
So this is our homepage. So we're highlighting our customers, but I'm missing a picture of Rick. And these are 4 quotes, and none of them have a number in it, except for SockTube, which is not really a number. So I think we have amazing results we're getting for customers, and I think we have some data on that. Maybe I'm a bit dual, but I'd love a picture and a number here. I think none of this talks about the contribution. I think that's really remarkable, and maybe it's not what people buy GitLab for. So maybe a bit cautious, but I'm very excited about that. I think a question on top of everyone's mind is like, okay, how do we differ from GitHub? We're more comprehensive, but I don't think we tell, this is my best attempt at that. I don't think it completely tells the story. Like it doesn't say like, hey, GitLab is more comprehensive than GitHub. Maybe it should. And this page is not linked from our homepage, nor from any other popular page on our website. Maybe it should, or maybe it shouldn't. I wonder what Google says if you Google how does GitLab differ from GitHub. But I think it's an opportunity for us. I don't think we should shy away from that question. I think we should answer it. I think right now we're not answering it. That's to our own detriment.
I remember doing that Google search when I was interviewing at GitLab, and the results are pretty good if you Google. Okay. Pretty favorable for GitLab. So that's encouraging. I don't know if that's, yeah. So that's one positive thing.
Yeah, but I think the first link is not even our own website.
Huh.
And right. The second link is some piece of content that's outdated and hasn't been changed in years.
Yeah.
So like why it's one of the most important questions. Like why aren't we answering it as a company?
Right.
Or at least keeping it up to date.
Right. Not so bad for somebody else to be answering it. It gives us credibility if, say, it's an enterprise customer, but yeah, we need to be in there. We're
not trying to drown out anybody else, but we should be really good at answering it.
Yep. Okay, great. Got it. Okay, I know we're at time, so thank you very much for your feedback. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Sid.